Uh, and with that, you are brought through to further into this facility, in which now I will move us over.
Holy.
Yes. So, these are just a few illustrations of the facility itself. I'll point out certain areas to enhance my descriptions of it. But as you were escorted over to the doctor said their little medical wing, you do actually manage to go through this first hangar that you were loitering outside of, or asked to hold outside of. And that is where you see this particular large space vessel being harbored. It looks like about half a dozen individuals are working on it, and as you are led through, they all stop what they're doing and take a good long stare at you. It's not accusatory at all, but it is definitely the looks of curiosity, as you can definitely hear some of them move over and mutter to each other and look your direction. Um, the smell of ozone and rust gives way, however, and through additionally blue and green lit halls. By the way, this picture itself kind of gives you an idea of what the floors and whatnot looks like and the general aesthetics of this compound. But eventually you are led over to this medical wing here, in which Dr. Vass, whom later you identify as Dr. Simon Vass, although he says most people just call him the Doc or Doc Simon. He takes the most fatigued, which he's quickly ascertains as Al and Patrick, and has you rest on these comfortable cot-like creations. Already at this point, I can say that, Al, you haven't seen technology this advanced since you were last in Chi-Town. And even then, some of the mechanisms, some of the tools that they're using, even diagnostic, seems far. It's a strange combination of familiar and unfamiliar, right? It's imagine if someone from the 50s saw a TV and they like a TV from their time compared to like a big ultra flat screen TV today. They know it's a television, but it's just so different, right?
Right. Okay.
And in fact, all of you kind of get a bit of a vibe. But Patrick, due to your archaeology and anthropology skills, you're the first to identify this. You haven't seen technology this advanced since you were in that underground compound where that giant brain had its robot armies months back. And even then, you were only to get a glance in the dark. Uh, and here it is bright and lit up, and everything is in its place.
Oh, damn.
Dr. Vass has a few assistants too who make sure to meet any sort of immediate needs you might have. If you're thirsty or a little bit of hungry, they're able to give you some fresh food, mostly vegetables and a little bit of fruit as well. For those of you who are very fatigued, the little influx of sugar, the natural sugars of some apples and pears that they give you, um, might abate. I would like to kind of just necessarily kind of gloss over a little bit as far as this little medical checkup goes, if that's okay by you guys.
Sure.
Okay. Is that fine across the board?
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep, I'm good.
Mhm.
I will note
Mhm.
that I will say when they go to me, when they start to go through the medical checkup, I will say that I am a psionic.
Interesting, interesting. Dr. Vass gives a nod, but they're not nearly all as shocked as you've gotten in the past. Um, Dr. Vass is very curious as to your abilities, and I think it's fair to say, well, sorry, you would disclose as much as you would feel comfortable. And he
I
does. Mhm.
I would demonstrate. Just a small demonstration of like my hand or something.
Oh, okay, excellent. He takes some very, very interested notes, and he goes, were you born with this ability?
It manifested not too long ago, a few years ago.
A few years, interesting. Did you come in contact with any sort of strange compound or radiation?
Not that I know of, no.
I see. Fascinating. Is it all right if I just take a bit of your hair, just a single strand, just for DNA analysis?
Sure.
And he asks that for all of you during the checkup. He just asks for a single strand of hair just for a genetic analysis.
Nora says no.
Okay, okay. He gives an understanding nod. I see, I see. Um, Not a problem. When it comes to Nora, during his checkup, he notices that your reflexes are off the charts. And it doesn't take long for him to, he kind of, okay, we'll roleplay this a little bit. He goes, would you be able to just open your mouth for me a little bit and say, ah, and he has a little metal depressor in his hand.
She'll do so.
Excellent. Oh, sorry. I guess the way I'm standing, I'm a little bit taller than you. Here, and he takes his hand and he goes to the back of your head just to kind of tip it up a little bit, kind of just guide your head a little bit. And you can feel his finger hit one of your mind over matter implants. He doesn't say anything at the point. He removes his hand. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she'll, as soon as he puts his hand back there, she'll try and move it away.
I'm sorry. I'm so used to dealing with, for lack of a better word, our community here. I forget that sometimes I'm a little too hands-on. And he finishes on with a checkup, but before he dismisses you, gives you a clean bill of health, he asks, I felt on the back of your head a metallic implant. Is it fair to assume that those are a cybernetic implant?
I think that would be a fair assumption.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And he doesn't seem distressed at that at all. Very interesting. Have you felt any sort of strange symptoms due to them?
Yes.
I see. Would you care to elaborate exactly the symptoms?
I would like to not elaborate. Is it necessary?
Not necessary whatsoever. This is more for professional curiosity. I see I'm making you uncomfortable, but I'm glad to tell you that you don't have any sort of bacterium, virus, or any sort of aberration that would be the risk to anybody else. So, you're gone with a clean bill of health, he says.
Thank you, doctor.
You're welcome. Is there anything else you want to, anything else that people want to? Oh, yes, sorry. We didn't get the consent for one genetic, one strand of hair. Patrick.
Al would not only consent, but he would want to watch.
Ah, I see. It'll be interesting because at this point, because he's still under considerable fatigue even after the few hours of rest. So many times, even though you probably want to watch, Dr. Vass or Dr. Simon says he's just like, oh no, you can lie down, relax, it's okay. This is a very, very casual little checkup, nothing to alert yourself too much. But I reckon that Al would always kind of just stand up, or sit up and try to see what's going on, that sort of thing.
Yes, Al would be watching like a hawk, if nothing else, because he wants to know what this stuff is. And yeah, just like someone from the 1950s, if they saw a flat screen 1080p, they would be like a hawk.
Cool. You notice that Dr. Simon gives a very amused look to you from time to time during that. Patrick, would Patrick consent to a strand of hair?
He would say yes. He still seems he obviously seems dazed still.
Okay. So am I good to just continue on with the story? Okay. So after your initial checkups and after being fed and given some time to rest, in the medical bay, once again enters Johanna. And she swipes away a few of her black curled hair, black ringlet hair, and she goes, Doctor, is everything in good shape? And the doctor nods. He goes, yes, there doesn't seem to be any sort of airborne or bloodborne pathogen. I believe it is safe for interaction. A few of them are still a little groggy, but in better shape than when they entered, that's for sure. She goes, good, good. Then perhaps now would be a good time to continue where we left off. As mentioned before, I have a very hands-on approach when it comes to interviewing individuals from the outside world, people outside our particular community. I would very much enjoy a one-on-one interview with each of you before finally addressing you all as a conglomerated group. Would that appeal to any or all of you?
Al wouldn't object.
Okay.
Nora remains silent.
I see.
Patrick would say yes to that.
Okay. And Tom?
Sure.
Okay. She goes, wonderful. Kind, agreeable folk. That's very good to see. I imagine you have a few questions for you. It's for us, or perhaps for me in particular. And she pauses for a moment, and she says, I don't know if it's best to tell you this all together, or wait for the individual interviews. But if you have any preliminary questions, feel free to ask them now. Sensing your pausing and hesitation, she kind of gives an apologetic nod. I understand if you haven't really come across a facility like this before. Honestly, it is very new and it will not be here for much longer, as long as our plans are willing. I'm hesitant into describing the details of our origin and exactly what we're doing here until our interviews are complete. I've already heard very, very good things from Omar, and I must admit my curiosity has been piqued, but I don't want to speak out of turn, I guess you could say. So, if you have nothing for me initially, I would invite you to my office here. Please come one at a time whenever it is convenient for you. Dr. Vass or one of his fine, capable assistants can guide you to the place where I do most of my work. She gives a bit of a smile. Do I have any brave individuals who would like to go first, and I can escort them personally myself?
Patrick shoots up his hand.
Wonderful. All right. Well, please, if you're good to walk, come follow me.
Patrick does so.
Okay. So, she leads you through once again these steel, brightly lit hallways, not too far off from the medical wing itself. In fact, her office, it looks just like that. And after taking just a very, very small lift to the second level, you approach her office. I'll describe the office in general for everyone when you do these little interviews. So I'll only describe it once. Mostly made of glass from I would say a good 70% of the walls itself are these paned sections of glass that are slightly missed to allow some privacy. Along the back wall is a rocky face. Interestingly enough, it is not smoothed over. It is its original craggy form. The office itself is sparsely decorated. A simple, it seems to be some sort of plastic synthesis desk is at the center of the room with a retracting steel chair on one side and 3 slightly more comfortable chairs made of that same strange plastic compound on the opposite side of the desk. The only other feature of note is all along the southern section of the office itself is a long strip of plants. But the unique thing about this is it's a variety of flowers and other plant life, all kind of laid out in a row. But instead, in potted planters, instead of being embedded in earth, their roots can be clearly seen in some sort of strange, clear container. Patrick, you have botany, correct?
I do have botany.
Well, you don't need to do a skill roll to realize that what this is, since these plants are clearly flourishing, is that this is hydroponic plant life. In other words, hydroponic is very simply growing plants without the need for soil. And that is clearly what this display has shown. And what's interesting is that these clear containers in which the roots can clearly be seen are lit up of a variety of colors, all the colors of the rainbow. And it shifts and back and forth from time to time, creating a very, very pretty kaleidoscope of colors. She sits at her desk for you, Patrick, and she goes, well, I guess first is introductions. I am Johanna Welke. And who might you be?
Patrick is... I'm not quite sure if this is prevalent, but he's currently, like, going around the room and, like, tapping the wall. Tapping some surfaces.
I see. Sir?
Oh, just curious about a few things. We should probably. I always
Your
forget
name.
to do this. Yes.
Yes.
My name is. I have a nickname of Pat, but you can call me Patrick if you'd like.
All right, Patrick. Very nice to meet you. I suppose the first question is this. Omar mentioned there was a vessel in your possession, one that had visited space at some point. Is that correct?
And Patrick is looking like over her shoulder at the plants, and he goes, "Yes, that's what I've been told."
And she stands up from her chair. She goes, come join me by the plants here. I always like to come to them to relax a little bit as well. I have all sorts of specimens. This planet has an amazing assortment of life. She kind of guides you over as she continues on with the questions. He mentioned that there were some recent repairs. Was it you that fixed up this ship?
Yeah, from what kind of parts I could replace, absolutely. Is the light in there, trying to, mimic the various light waves that plants need to get fed?
Nice. Very, very observant. They are, partially, but frankly, the other part of it is simply I find it very, very pretty to look at. But yes, they do also emit ultraviolet rays, which allows their leaves to flourish. You're absolutely correct. Fascinating. You both say fascinating at the same time, and she gives a delighted little chuckle. She goes, "Oh my." Well, then I just have one other question for you, if that's all right.
Sure.
Omar mentioned that your collective group came across him in relative medical distress. Yes?
Yes.
Why did you help him?
Oh. Um. That is a good question to ask to
Thank you.
to us. Well, I'm not quite sure about our entire uh, group that we travel with, but myself and quite a few of them like to help where we can. When we see somebody in distress, we have a knee-jerk reaction to help if we can.
I see. And your own personal opinions mirror that of the group that you travel with, yes?
Absolutely.
She kind of gives a bit of a smile. Wonderful. Well, I can see you're very, very fatigued at the moment. Um, if it is all right by you, well, I'll have someone escort you back to to a place where you can rest. And once I'm done speaking with all of your friends, perhaps we'll all meet again together and learn more about each other.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. So who wants to be next? Says the GM.
Nora? Al?
Nora's not going to be jumping.
Yeah.
Al, would you like to? Or would you like me to?
No, you go first.
Okay, I will go.
All right. Tom, you are escorted by the same feline humanoid individual, and you notice as she doesn't say very much to you, other than left here, right here, that sort of thing. She's a good few inches taller than you, but there is one little thing that you notice now that you're in closer proximity, is that she. Normally when someone blinks, they just blink once, right? But when she blinks, she does like a flutter of like 5 blinks very, very quickly in succession. Yeah. That's the only big thing that you would notice. And she reaches over to meet Johanna, and she smiles and has you sit down if you choose. She goes, good day. I have a report here from Dr. Vass that you have inhibited some sort of strange, for lack of a better word, superhuman abilities. Is that correct?
I guess.
You guess I am correct? I'm very, very sorry if I'm...
No, I guess you could call them superhuman abilities?
I see. What do you call them?
It's just psionics.
Psionics?
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. I see. He mentioned that you weren't these abilities, for lack of a word, these psionics happened just a few years ago, correct?
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. I see. Do you find yourself... how can I word this correctly so you're not horribly offended? Are you entirely human?
Yes.
I see. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Just simply curious, that's all. This recent fight that you got into, Miss Blocko, Janina, told me, and she kind of gestures over to the feline woman there. She mentioned that there were some signs, and she witnessed the very, very end of a very deadly struggle. Do you come upon violence very often?
Violence usually finds us, yes.
I see. Would you care to elaborate?
Well, this world is very violent. And we have to deal with the coalition quite a lot.
I see. I see. And you can see her give like a very long sympathetic nod, especially after you say this world is very violent.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Well, then I just have one final question for you. Omar mentioned that when you came across him, he was in quite a bit of medical distress.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned this place was very violent, and we have encountered the exact same thing. Many individuals would be suspicious of such a circumstance, or frankly, would be uncaring for someone who was not a part of their group. So, with that in mind, why did you help him?
Well, dude looked like he was in pain. And to be honest, I was there to watch Al's back, the elf.
I see.
Just in case we were to come under fire or something, I could possibly protect him.
I see. So you were cautiously. You were cautious in the engagement.
Mm-hmm. Always.
I see. Always. Good, good, she says. And very similar with Patrick, she communicates that she looks forward to conversing with you together with all of your compatriots. But that's all the questions that she really had for you right now.
All right.
And once again, escorted back to the medical bay, once again set there for rest and relaxation. While since Nora is not jumping at the opportunity, I guess we'll call upon Al next, correct?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So once again, you're escorted into Johanna's office, and at this point, she's standing by her little hydroponic garden that's along the south end of this office. And she turns, she goes, hello. Please sit down, she says, if you wish. And she goes to behind her desk, and she taps on a small... you can actually see, Al, in the desk itself, there seems to be like a computer screen inlaid onto it, and she's tapping on that a little bit. And she goes, I hope you certainly don't mind my questions. They might seem a little peculiar, but your friends mentioned that you are called an elf. Is that correct?
Yes.
An elf, okay. How did you come upon this planet?
I wish I knew myself. My earliest memories are from this place. I've heard that there are many like me or others from other dimensions that are sent here somehow, not sure how, and like me spend their life here.
I see. So you've been struck with a case of amnesia then?
No. Nothing quite like that. Only that whatever happened, however I got here, happened when I was very small.
I see. Omar mentions that you're the one who conducted some emergency roadside surgery upon him, removing his appendix. Is that correct?
Yes, I didn't have time to get him to my med bay.
Oh, it's understandable. No need to feel defensive in regards to that. But you have a medical bay yourself. Yeah, I'm assuming in your large robotic vehicle, correct?
Yes.
Huh. How did you come to learn the medical sciences?
Well, oddly enough, I learned from the same... Well, not from the organization that just attacked us, but from people who were trained by the organization that attacked us.
I see. It was mentioned that they attacked you because of your looks, because you were, and she looks at her screen, a DB, someone from another dimension. If they wanted to kill you because of the way you looked, how did they train you?
Not everyone in that organization feels that way.
She kind of gives a bit of a smile. A situation that I can sympathize with. I just have a final question then for you. Out of all the individuals you've come across, why did you decide to help Omar, a complete stranger on the side of the road?
Al pauses for a long time and then says, well, let me put it this way. I know how violent this world is. The very fact that you have to ask that it is unusual, makes me very sad. I hope, one day, it'll be expected.
I see. She gives a non-hidden smile at that. Very good. And with that, once again, she dismisses you and finally calls the other NPCs, of course, are questioned as well. Criana, would you think that Nora would probably be the last to be asked to be interviewed?
I think that's a fair assessment.
Okay, I think so too. So finally, Bear emerges into the medical wing, and after a moment of pause, one of the medical assistant is kind of looking over at you, and you hear Bear say silent to you, I think they're waiting on you, Nora.
Alicia, Alicia needs to go.
No, she said, she kind of gives a shrug. She goes, I already talked with her. She seems pretty relaxed. She's asked some very, very strange questions, but it's all right.
Oh, yeah, I'll go. It's fine.
Okay.
Nora,
What?
you'll be fine.
She gives you a look and walks away.
All right. So, Nora, you're escorted to Johanna's office, in which you are invited to sit down, and she's behind the desk, and she gives a disarming smile to you, and she goes, good day. My name is Johanna, and who might you be?
My name's Nora.
Very nice to meet you, Nora. I have to apologize. After being in such a life-threatening circumstance, I imagine this is very, very difficult to get used to. She pauses for a moment. I'm just wondering how best to broach this subject.
You can come right out and say it.
Good, she says. The doctor mentioned an implant in your head, and I must admit, we've come across several implants such as that. I believe they're called down here using an old Golden Age terminology of mind over matter, whereas where we're from, we simply call them mental cybernetic enhancements. Am I correct in assessing that?
That is a fair assessment.
I see. And it's my understanding individuals such as that have a superior strength, agility, speed. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And she pauses for a moment. She says, have you ever been in a situation where the environment is completely new and foreign to you, yet your body still reflexively understands what to do?
I suppose, yes.
I see. Good. Then I only have one final question. When you found Omar at the side of the road, you didn't know him from anyone else. Why did your group help him?
To be perfectly clear,
Mm-hmm.
and whether this diminishes your view of me or not, I don't suppose I care. I did not want to help Omar.
I see. And why is that, she asks.
My goal is to protect those idiots you've met. And sure, he was in need, but there was also the guys who attacked us around. It was a risky move.
I I see, she says, and her voice hints not of admonishment or with understanding, a very simple, neutral response.
By the way,
Mhm.
I make no promises for how I'll act in a few hours.
I see. It
It won't be. Yeah. Just ask Omar if you have any questions about it, I guess.
I see. All right, very well. This is not something that would put yourself into any sort of distress,
Nah.
and it won't affect the security of other people here, would it?
Probably not. She might want you to draw or play a game with her, but she'll be more annoying anything else.
For the first time, you actually see the calm, collected Johanna, very much in a position of confidence and authority, give a very confused look. Her dark brows furrow a little bit, and she goes, I see. Well, I have a few things to take care of, but I'd very much like to speak with the entire group, your entire group, very, very soon. I want to thank you for your patience, and hopefully I'll do my best to explain everything once I'm done with my assessment. Good, yeah. Wonderful. Please, free to return and relax back to the medical bay, and you are once again escorted back there. A few more hours pass when pardon me?
No, I'm just talking to myself.
That's okay. I can just grab a drink of water here real quick, so I'm gonna mute myself so you don't hear the hiss of my tap.
How
Yes.
is everyone doing?
She was so diplomatic. I was expecting like a "Why'd you help him?" That asshole Al. She was so diplomatic.
She cares, but she just thinks,
She had a different set of priorities at the time.
No, absolutely. Yeah. As a player, I completely understand.
Okay. So, at this point, after a few more hours pass, once again, it is Johanna that meets you back at the medical bay. And she puts herself in the position where she can be seen and heard by most of you. And she says, I want to thank you again for your patience. I had to go over a few things and had to ponder with myself whether I wanted to take this next step. Frankly, though, I feel that you can be trusted, for lack of a better word, and therefore I am at liberty to go in a little bit more detail of who we are and what we do. Please feel free to ask questions. I don't think I could go through our entire history so quickly, but I'll do my best. She pauses for a moment.
Al would pipe up and say, I'm curious to know where you're from. It would have to be very far away if you're concerned we might carry organisms that would make you sick.
Not as far away as you might think. Although I can say that we were not born, most of us were not born upon Earth, but very, very close to it. She gestures with a single hand up to the sky. We are from Earth's orbit. I understand.
Al would say, no, I don't think I do.
What?
Yes, I know. She says, I've had this conversation with a few other trusted individuals we've employed and asked assistance for, and every single time they give me similar looks that you are giving me now. Let me do my best to explain. We have records, quite a few records, of what happened hundreds of years ago. I'm not too sure what you call it down here, but up where we're from, we simply called it the Flash. From our hovering space stations on this endless orbit around Earth, we saw great natural disasters, blue streaks of energy, which they themselves emitted from the planet itself, causing our own instrumentation, causing damage to our vessels, and, worsely enough, caused a great increase of solar flares and radiation. Unfortunately, during those trying times, we ourselves were faced with quite a bit of tribulation. Our records show, at least from the station that I'm from, that about 20% of all individuals died in that first oncoming week. And soon after that, another 1/5 committed suicide, realizing that we would be completely cut off from the planet that we were born. Several generations passed, and myself and most of the people here were born in these stations that surround the orbit of Earth. There are... She pauses for a moment. There are a few space stations that still exist where we are from. The one that I am from is called Euro. So I guess my best explanation is that of a personal story. Oh, by the way, I hope you guys don't mind Johanna talking all this much.
Oh, dude, great.
We're good? Okay.
Go for it.
Yeah.
All right. She says, I was born on a space station called Euro, all made of mostly humans, although, of course, there were some animals, animal mutants that were up here as well, and they themselves propagated. Similar to Miss Janina Blanco that you've already met. I mentioned before of solar radiation, and although we do our best to protect ourselves from it, our genetics are sometimes altered in a point of where there is mutation. Some of the mutation proves to be beneficial. Individuals turn to exhibit some very, very superhuman abilities, but unfortunately, for every one individual that gets some sort of benefit from the mutation, there are 10 individuals who do not. These are horribly disfigured and mutated individuals. 23 years ago, I was expecting. Me and my husband were expecting our very, very first child. Unfortunately, halfway through my pregnancy, my darling husband died in his sleep of a simple brain aneurysm. But such is life. When I gave birth, though, it was not that of of a human in technical sense of the terms. She ended up being horribly disfigured. Multiple arms and eyes and baggy flesh. The culture that I'm from sees such things as aberrations. And we are encouraged to terminate such results. And at this point, she stands, she starts to wander over to one of the medical beds, and she sits herself down, and she says, but I don't know if any of you could understand, but, years ago I would maybe agree with that point of view, but as a mother, regardless of what she looked like, she was my child, my responsibility. Thankfully, our culture does not have just a single answer to something that is undesirable. So I took a second option instead of termination. Many mutant individuals are sent off to a station we simply call the Outcast Station. This is a place where such mutated individuals can be set apart from the rest of orbiting civilization, and that is where she would be exiled, in the hopes that someone there would take care of her. That was not good enough for me. I decided to accompany her and leave my life on Euro, where I was an accomplished scientist, well respected amongst my peers. But my child came first. When I was there, on the outcast station, in the dregs and the poverty of the place, I came across an amazing opportunity. An opportunity to come here to Earth. Earth had been cut off from us for a very good reason. She pauses for a moment. And now this is where my personal story comes into the reality of our situation. At this point, Al, you will be reminded that the Coalition 50-some years ago tried to send something into orbit and failed miserably.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was going to ask you, so thank you.
No problem. And she says, Earth has been cut off from where we are, from orbit, under 3 factors. The first is a debris barrier. It is a barrier of small, tiny, nearly microscopic debris that travels at high velocities, stripping metal and flesh easily, unless you have a very, very specific spacecraft that can withstand such trauma. Most things that try to pass through that barrier are disintegrated. The second factor that blocks our worlds from the one down here is, well, back in the old world, it was not nearly as civilized as one would think, and many of the old empires would put up satellites, defense satellites, to shoot down missiles, to attack cities from orbit, other great military weapons of destruction. Unfortunately, many of these satellites, which we simply call hunter-killer satellites, or Terminator satellites, are still active. And unfortunately, many of their programming has become perverted or flawed enough to shoot at anything and everything that might cross their paths. So if one were to survive past the debris barrier, they would have to worry about these old pre-flash weapons of war. But the third barrier, the most that cuts us off, is the space stations themselves. I do not know if you'd understand this, but frankly, our ancestors watched our home destroy itself. Great untold tragedies of multiple deaths on a worldly scale, and there was nothing they could do about it. And soon after that dust settled, great monsters, beasts, aliens started to emerge into the skies, trying to break past the barriers, trying to attack and kill us. So, all stations, with the exception of Outcast, agreed to systematically contain Earth to protect themselves, to protect our vulnerable lives. Everyone up there is terrified of what Earth has become. It is, many believe, a living hell, far removed from what it once was. And now that we are down here, we can both confirm and deny their fears. It is a very hostile, cruel place, but not nearly the living hell that they might imagine. Thankfully, not absolutely everybody up in orbit believes that, only most of them. And our benefactor decided to launch a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to land on Earth. You see, every 5 years, 3 months, and 22 days, there's a perfect alignment of all three factors. When an individual, or a ship, or a group of ships can break past a thinning section of the debris field, able to get the codes to deactivate a nearby killer satellite, and ensure that their trajectory meets the outcast station and the outcast station alone, ensuring that no containment opportunities would shoot down a vehicle trying to arrive to Earth, or, as we hope, arriving from Earth. We are 4 months away from going home. It has been near 15 years since we returned to orbit, and we have cultivated many bits of knowledge, botany, science, and other such stories to return. She pauses for a moment. I am sure you have many questions that I will be happy to answer. But the reason for the interviews, the reasons why we brought you here, the reasons I am trusting you with this, is that we still have much to do in this 4 months of preparation, and we need as much assistance as possible. It seems that you have problems here on Earth, individuals trying to kill you. Although I cannot promise you that Earth's orbit is any less hostile, I would reward, or we would be akin to, well, allowing you to come with us, if that is what you desire.
You hear faint snoring.
Oh dear, she says, looking over to Mila. I'm afraid I did blather on longer than I anticipated. I'm very sorry.
Don't mind her. She does that sometimes. So you're saying that we can go to space?
Yes, in simple terms, yes. We need as much assistance as we can to prepare, and frankly, I can say from my years of experience raising my baby daughter on Outcast, and although unfortunately that she did not survive her third year, I became entrenched with the suffering of individuals up there. You all have a very unique set of skills, and I think you could do a lot of good up there as well.
Okay. Al?
It is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. There'll never be another landing vessel from orbit down here.
I know. Give me a second. Al?
Hey, don't be smart with her. Motherfucker!
I was trying to ask Al a question. Sorry.
Al was A, seriously considering, B, muted. Take your pick.
Okay, I'm gonna go with muted.
Ah, damn it, you guys always get this. Al will,
No, I want to ask a question just really
uh-huh.
quickly. Really
Sure.
quickly before anybody asks any more questions or says anything else. Al,
Yes?
the Coalition has no power or hold in space, right?
They tried once, a long time ago. Nothing ever came back.
I'm in. I'm done. All right, I want to go.
Al raises an eyebrow and then says, well, I'm not really one to pass up a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but I think this would have to be something we all agree on.
Yeah, that is true. Patrick?
So, Patrick is definitely looking at each one of you, um, intently, seeing how you all react. But if people are looking towards him, expecting him an answer, he would respond, yeah. Um, I've always wanted to explore even more of what Earth has to offer, but I I would love to explore even more. And it it seems that there might even be a place where people will, how to say this gracefully, won't have the knee-jerk reaction to kill first and ask questions later.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of miss that.
Yeah.
Someone wake Nora up so we can get an answer.
I will gently shake Mila awake.
She kind of falls forward and then she like falls on her face like she was sitting,
Oh dear.
but like her face kind of slides forward with the weight of her body, but her butt is still hiked up in the air and you can still hear the snoring. You're gonna have to poke her a little harder, I think.
Okay. I will shake her harder.
What is it, Tom?
Hey,
Hi.
do you want to go to space?
Yeah, sure, why not?
You want to be a Jedi?
I've always wanted to be a Jedi. What's a Jedi?
Remember the movies?
No.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
Never mind. It's fine.
So, here we'll quickly step out of in-character speaking and speak more out of character-wise. All right? So with this opportunity, I'll let you know what the NPCs think about this. All right? Let's go from most positive to most negative. Okay? August is all over this like crazy. He has been, oddly enough, maybe it's a decompression of the encounter that you had recently, the combat encounter. But in the medical wing, where he kind of has to stay for the most part, he bombards the doctor and anyone else with a host of questions. He is extremely excited. You've never seen him so curious before. Like, most of the time he tries to answer questions, not ask them. So this is a little on the strange side. And when he hears what was told, an opportunity, he jumps on it like a fat kid on a ham sandwich. All right. Alicia, ever loyal Alicia, obviously is a little bit skeptical. She has a few questions. She thinks it sounds incredibly harebrained, but she made a vow to you a year ago, and is continuing on with that vow. She's not afraid of orbit or space or anything like that, and as long as you'll have her, she'll join with you. Bear is, I wouldn't say neutral, but he confides to Mila Nora that he will go wherever... What's the best way to say this? Actually, if it's okay, maybe we'll slip in character if that's all right by you.
Okay.
Okay. And he'll say, Mila's the dominant personality right now, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you'll say, Mila, um, I never thought I would see you again, and every day has been um, a gift. But I must learn that your fate and my fate are not necessarily always intertwined, no matter how much it would be. If you wish, I will accompany you as your friend. But if you do not desire it, I will make my own way back down here. And perhaps, if you return, you will still find me here, loyal, and your friend. Heaven's willing.
I miss you, Bear.
I see. So are you saying you would like me to come with?
Of course I would want you to come with me, but I only want you to do it if you want to do it, Bear.
I very much want to. I just did.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. All right. Great. And he's very, very happy. He gives you a bear hug.
Oh.
Really?
Okay.
Really from the man who makes fun.
All right. So that's the positive on with the negative. Pamel is not keen on going to a place where there's absolutely no water. Period. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to be on land from time to time, but in space where there's no oceans, there's no nothing, and there's no guarantee of going back, she's not comfortable with it. Now, she's not comfortable with it because me as the DM has decided that Rachel isn't, kicked out of the campaign or anything like that, right? But until she's able to, I mean, it's been like 7 months since she's played with us last. So until her schedule allows it a little bit more, I can easily see. This is the best thing. In character, Johanna thinks the only way to and from Earth is via this really, really risky, like time-sensitive opening, right? Through these 3 barriers. In reality, there's magic and there's rifts, and people can dimensionally teleport from place to place, all right? She's not aware of that. So if at any time Rachel comes in and she wants to join back in, I can add her in, no problem, right? That's the best.
Space whales.
No, not space whales. A little guy called Tyrath the Eternal. Who's extremely capable of these things. All right. So this, I think, is a very, very good opportunity to where I don't feel like we have to NPC or put aside Pamel the entire time. She can just come back into the campaign whenever her real life player is able to participate again. Does that sound fair? Does that sound good?
Yes.
I think so.
I think it's fair too. This isn't a kick out. It's just an opportunity for us not always to worry about, oh, what's Pamel doing, right? And she can play when she's more active. It's all good. And then finally, Lee flat out says no. He has had extremely bad experiences in space, and this will be the point where your paths will diverge.
Yeah.
So that's how the NPCs react to that. So heads up in regards.
I have a question out of character for the rest of the group.
Okay.
What do you guys think of bringing Hannibal?
You mean Hannibal and Mrs. Mams?
Yes.
I think it completely
Mrs. Mams
depends
is.
on...
I figured Mrs. Mams is going to come along with us,
Mhm.
but if we wanted to leave Hannibal, since this is home,
I would personally think, first of all, he's a puppy or almost a grown dog
No,
now.
he's
Almost a grown
he's an
dog.
adolescent.
Yeah.
From my experience, dogs, their home is with who they grew up with. So if we leave, it's no longer going to be home for him. So I guess from Al's point of view, it would all depend on, can we take him and will it like lower his quality of life? And if not, then absolutely. I think he would be horrified if we all left him. We are pretty much all he's ever known.
well, The idea that I was having is if we choose to not bring him up with us, that we could possibly try and get Lee to run him over to Perrin's post.
Here's important bits of information, okay? So once we get the common consensus that you are interested, Johanna will inform you, and I'll do it out of character, right? Instead of me always talking to you about her in character. Because Squeed just brought up a point. Well, can we bring them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now that you're on board, she will give you more of a breakdown of what's going on, all right?
Yeah.
As mentioned before, much of the other space stations that surround Earth's orbit are an active containment of the Earth and everything that is alien. So, now the good news is that these stations only control themselves, right? And even Earth's orbit is a vast, vast place, right?
Yeah.
Outcast Station is a complete refuge whatsoever. Independent operatives, complete refuge, right? So that's no big problem. But anything that is alien will be under some sort of suspicion. Al's, being an elf, his pointed ears can be explained as a mutation. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Bear, he's a wolfen, right? There's mentioned before that there are mutant animals up in orbit. He can be easily passed off as a mutant animal. No problem.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Dogs, actual dogs, domesticated dogs, Johanna would inform you, do not exist in orbit. That would be a big red flag.
Okay.
Same thing for Mrs. Mams. Now, that's not to say that it's impossible to bring them whatsoever, but they would be, for lack of a better word, for anyone who is discerning enough, it's like carrying a loaded gun past a security gate. You know what I mean? There's a chance that they're not going to detect it, right? But when they do detect it, you're going to be in trouble. So you can spend the entire adventure avoiding those stations with the puppy or whatever, right? No problem. But she needs to let you know the reality of the situation. Now, here's the other thing while I'm on that subject, all right? Anything alien is a shoot first, ask questions later policy by these stations that do this Earth's containment, which means although your power armor can function in space, it will probably be blasted if you come close to these other stations, because they'll be like, oh, holy shit, what's that? That's not on our records. Fucking shoot it. It's an alien from Earth, right? Once again, an outcast station, not so much of a problem, but it's something to keep in mind. Okie dokie.
All right. What power armor?
Well, see, there you go. Now maybe you don't have to worry about repairing it, right? So now here's the other one other thing. Smaller objects like guns or that sort of thing, I'll have to kind of give you a rundown, kind of like a space primer, of course. But how about you guys decide what you want to do with your pets first, and then I'll move on to the next phase of this, if that works for you guys.
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Sure.
What do we do about the rooster that just ran into the
med bay?
This enclosed med bay? Yeah.
Oh well.
Is that a doctor or?
No, that's not Doctor. That's not Dr. Cox. No, not Dr.
Come on!
It's not Dr. Cox. He is escorted a little bit, and you hear Johanna say, "Damn Earth chickens."
Okay.
Sorry.
Just had to bring it up. It's the white elephant in the room.
All right. Anyways, but here's the other thing, though, right? They're not leaving for 4 months. Okay, so you guys don't have to decide this very, very second what you're going to do, amidst this conversation with Johanna. All right.
Sure.
But me as a DM, I have this under consideration. All right. So you'd be entering an agreement with these individuals that you would help out around the station in exchange for them teaching you a few things about living in orbit. And to emulate that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you all a document that outlines a bunch of skills. And you guys can choose 4 of those skills to add to your character sheets as those things that you'd be being taught during that time. Does that sound fun? Does that sound groovy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Let me throw it in Skype, and then we're going to have to figure out a way to get this to Squee.
Yeah.
Unless Piff can open it up and
put it on
show it
stream.
to everyone, and then Squee looks at the stream. I don't know. Well, we'll figure this out.
We could screen share. No.
No, wait. What kind of doc is it? Because I
The
think
Word
I can
document?
Yeah, I think I can open it now because I had to download that thing for.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see. I think
Let's
I
see.
can.
Let's find out.
Like Thomas the Tank Engine.
I think I can.
I really.
Yeah.
Well, Tom,
Yeah.
Tom would be conflicted about Hannibal. Extremely conflicted.
Yeah.
I think Al would be too. He doesn't want to bring Hannibal into danger, but like I said, kind of stands of.
Earth is dangerous.
Really, we got Hannibal when he was so young that he's not really gonna know Perrin or anyone there.
He grew up as a puppy at Perrin's little thingy. And of course,
Yeah.
he wasn't super old. He was like 3 months old when you took him.
Yeah.
There it is. Space skills.
Yeah, just bring him with us.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's not like we're not used to having eyes on us.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true.
My God, we've gone from Tom being the most dangerous person around
Aw.
to Hannibal being the most dangerous.
But you're such a good puppy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's fine. The only limitations to role-playing games is the role-playing world, I guess. So that's fine.
Like,
yeah.
like mentioned in fanfiction number 2,
Mhm.
this is Riffs.
Oh,
Anything
God.
can happen.
Oh,